5.
Good afternoon, Petersburg. I am Chioma Daku, and I have the privilege to be here today with Ms. Walker. And we are going to be talking about some different things that has gone on in the Petersburg community as it relates to her son. And it is my hopes that after this interview, if there are any parents or any women that have gone through a similar situation, that you reach back out to her. She is forming her own nonprofit organization to combat some of the issues that she'll be discussing today. So we just want to hear from her, her story, how she's doing, how the family's doing, and some different things that she possibly wants to do into the community. So Ms. Walker, could you tell us about you and how you are doing today?
I'm an emotional wreck today. Tomorrow's my son's celebration of life. And this is my baby. His name is Xavier Miffin. You guys know him as Sherman. Sherman got murdered on the streets of Petersburg, December the 11th at 3 o'clock last year. It would be 1 year tomorrow. I am an emotional wreck, but I have to know that I have to be strong to help those that are gonna need me, and that's not as strong as I am. I want to give back to mothers that is going through a lot, like the Christmas holidays and stuff like that. There's an online group we formed that was formed, and I joined, called Mothers Who Lost Their Sons. That's very inspiration to me. It lets me know that when this happened, that it's a lifetime hurt. It's a lifetime pain, a lifetime void. Within 30 days of murder, my son being murdered, I was truly blessed to have a grandson, my first grandson. So when my days are down, I just call the mother to see my grandson, because I see so much of my son in my grandson. So I call and I laugh at him. I have my darkest days, I have my darkest night, but my good is outweighing my bad. I want to pick up the pieces and be able to help my son in honor, you know, because I don't feel like he deserved to die like he did. You know, nobody saying anything, nobody coming forward, nobody giving me no answers. It's just unsolved. And my son was well known in the community as well as myself. I was, him and my other son and another young fella were, we feed the homeless people. We've been doing that on my own for now 7 years. It's not something I make a commitment to, but I do it more now in honor of him. I help the kids in the neighborhood. I'm about to start a foundation for mothers and kids like this. I'm also about to start a softball team for the girls, softball team. Just get the kids out of the street and give them something to do. Because I noticed one of the things in the street is nothing to do. You play them video games and you try to bring that to reality, and that's not good. I want to change the mindset of the young men. I want to be able to help a lot of young black men with jobs and home opportunity coming up. I have ideas, and I met you. And God, I thank you. You know, I know God don't put people in your path for a purpose. And this, I will be holding your hand. I see you're a very strong black woman, and I like that about you. I am also a strong woman. I don't know how I get through this on a daily basis. I just know I do. I give all thanks.
So for some of us that don't really know the story about your son, there's some people out there that don't have a clue to kind of what happened. Can you kind of walk us through that so that they'll know, you know, why you have the pain from your baby being gone from you, but they don't know the full aspect of what happened? Can you walk us through that?
Yes. So my son was living on Shore Street. He was living with his cousin. He was watching the kids while they go to work, so they had a responsible adult in the house. When they get off from work, my son get a phone call. There were some people arguing on the phone. It hung up. The girl called back and asked him something about go get an ID for her from somebody or somebody. He goes to get the ID. He comes down by the Whiff Street, by the back of the governor building. And when he arrives at the top of the hill, someone murdered him right in the street and just left him. it hurt so much because the young lady that my son was affiliated with in the past that he chose to be homeless behind, she saw him laying there dying and never called for help or myself. So he laid there and he died. I got the phone call from the police saying that they wanted to come and talk to me about my son. So I'm wondering, why would they come all the way to Dinwiddie to talk to me about my son if they locking him up? And I just felt it. Well, earlier that day, there was a Facebook post from Langford on Facebook that said, "This is why I stay on the road." And they had the scene flashing with the police and stuff, and my stomach started hurting really bad. And I texted and I called the guy that, my cousin that was, he was staying with Where Xavier. He said he just left. And I said, Kiki, something ain't right. Call me right back when you get in touch with him. And I put over the post that Langford put on there, anyone seeing my son, he's missing, not knowing it had a clue. That was my son singing.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so when they came out, they told me my son had got murdered. I have yet to get a phone call from any officials of Petersburg. I've reached out to Sheriff Crawford. I've reached out to the chief of police. Never got to talk to anybody.
So there was no investigation conducted?
It's probably under investigation, but me being who I am, Sheriff Crawford's son mentored my son, both of my sons, Xavier and the baby boy. And so we were very affiliated. But for the community not to step forward and give me the information that I'm looking for closure, I'm very disappointed. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm frustrated, because this is our community. If we don't step up, it's not snitching. It's telling people what they need to know so this person don't hurt someone else, which I think happened again, you know, but I'm gonna focus on my boy. You know, I just want someone to, if you know something, call me. And my number is 804-243-0980. And we will put you where, whoever you need to get in touch with, the Detective Walker. I haven't heard anything from Detective Walker in a while. Most of the time that I got information from Detective Walker, I gave it to him, that I heard from the streets. And this is what it's about. You got to take your community back and say what you've seen. Because if the police is not going to help us, we got to help our own community. You know, and I'm not one of those ones that going to sit back and let this go. I'm not. I would go to my grave trying to find out what happened to my son, because he didn't deserve to die like this. He didn't. And many others.
So for other moms that's out there going through a similar situation, or even intimidated that they may go through some of the situations, what would you tell them in terms of the process of if somebody's gotten killed, so they can do the proper follow-up? Because sometimes people get information, they tell them your son's been killed, they don't know if they're completing an investigation, they don't know if they're doing any follow-ups, they're not making any communication with the parents, or the parent don't even know what to do. So can you give us a
For
information on
me,
that?
I became active in this. I contacted Commonwealth Attorney, what's going on. I go down to the police station. I talk to the detective. I reach out to the chief of police, what's going on. When they have major buses in the city, I contact detective, find out with any of the guns that were gathered up were one of them on my son. I just keep reaching out. I keep giving information. I keep finding, what do you have? What's going on? Well, we don't have anything right now, which is back again. It takes the community to do this. I need the help of the community, because they only one person. It was a hot day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Somebody saw something. Get active. Get out. I've seen on the app where they have mothers who lost their sons. A lot of them want drugs. A lot of them want medication. A lot of them want to just kill themselves like it's over. It's not over. This was my son's journey. This is my journey. And I'm gonna follow him till I die to find out what happened. For mothers that don't have anybody or feel like the world's over, you have my number. I will give you the victim witness program. I'm very active with her. Just talking to people and assuring that they still are there, but you have to go in the community. I'm about to do a flyer for a reward of my son. I'm about to do a fundraising because from what I was told, if you got money, you put money up, then more people will come available. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But I'm not alone. I have this program. I have the victim witness program. Now I have you. I go in the community. I still ask questions. What do you remember about this day? You know, I just don't sit there and just gonna take it. I get up and do something. You know, everything don't always have an answer. You know, but I can still keep looking. I still keep praying. I still keep hoping. And for the mom that's sitting there and going through it this Christmas, it's okay. It's okay. We're all here. I understand your pain. I've been there. I'm going through it. It's a lot of encouragement on there. It's a lot of depression on that app. But just to know that I'm not alone, and I can talk to somebody that understands. Because a lot of times when you talk to people, they tell you they understand. If you haven't had a child murder, you don't understand. You can empathize, but you don't understand the pain that we go through at night when it hit us, when we're alone. But for me, I want to live stronger, you know, and keep my son memorable. You know, a lot of people out there knew him, and everywhere we go, we knew people. He knew people, so I know somebody knows something. All I'm asking is, bring the information forward for me. If you can't take it to the police, bring it to me, and I'll pass it on. But I need justice and closure for my son.
We notice in the United States as a whole, there's been like rampage of killing black men, black boys. And different organizations like NAACP, Urban League, you have mothers out there like yourself who have formed organizations to combat some of this stuff. The main thing that we also want to get out today, that all the kids the people that are getting killed are not bad people.
No.
All of them are not on drugs. But one thing that has a common thread is mental health. There are mental health issues, and Petersburg has hired a social worker in their sheriff department, in the police department. And so I'm not sure of her full role that she plays, but I do know that with when the police goes out, let's just say when they got to your son, he was dead already. But when they go, and sometimes they go to apprehend someone, they're supposed to have a skilled person to work with the mental health. And that's not happening a lot in our communities. And so talk to me about the mental health aspect and exactly how it ties in with your son.
My son was ADHD, and as he got older, they still continued to say ADHD, and it was mild bipolar. They never gave him his medication for what he was diagnosed for, because they never gave him the correct diagnosis. A lot of times they wanted to overdose him. I agree, no. Let's deal with the problem. You gotta get up, you gotta take the motherhood of that child. You have to be that mother. A lot of times kids want to run over you. I didn't allow that to happen. I reached out for help. It wasn't he was running over me, it was he was reaching out for help. And I reached out to social services, I reached out to District 19, I reached out to intensive home care, I reached out to family services. I know I needed all these people to make my house settable and livable, because my son was, on his bad days, off his medication, it was a bad day. And I knew what it was because I was aware of what it was. A lot of people don't. They just try to just get rid of the child or get the child out their way. I wasn't that mom. I was hand-on mom. I was there. I participated. I just not for him. Mentally, I needed the help. So it was having a mental child in your family with any mental diagnosis is just not that child's issue. It's a family issue. And it takes the family to go and get help. I had a caseworker for my baby boy, I had a caseworker for him, and I had a worker for me. So I knew how to reach out in the community for help. The help is there. And if you sit there and not reach out for the help, you don't get it. You have to know that your child needs this help. A lot of times when they go reach out for help, there's a lot of doors closed in your face. And that's acceptable. No one say it was gonna be easy, but that ride was very hard for me, but I didn't give up, and I'm not giving up now. You know, everybody wanna put the kids in mental health, but what is the parent doing? Because she's the one, he's the one, got to mentally deal with this. So it needs to be addressed with the family, the child, the father, the mother, the children, because it's not a one-person mental illness. It's a generation. Everybody got to come together, and this is what I did.
And I want to say, as a qualified mental health professional, that one of the things that's happening in the school system is they have the IEP plans, and a lot of parents don't know that on an annual basis they need to get those reviewed, looked at, and assured it's their right to make sure the school is giving the kids what they need. Because some kids are not taking their medication, some kids are not, they're misdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all. So as a parent, if you ever get into the place where you notice differences in your kids, you need to immediately have them evaluated and immediately ensure that they get the right diagnosis, because that's going to determine their behavior.
Correct.
And that's going to determine, you know, how they're going to interact in the community, and that child does become an adult. And once they're an adult, that ADHD does not just go away.
Right.
And it's kind of like one of those lifetime things. And some parents, they don't believe in over-medicating their kids, because sometimes the doctors can do that. You have to be the advocate for your kid, and you also have to be that bond for the family. Like you're saying, everybody has to get treatment. Yes. So tell us how he was and what kind of person, other than his mental health.
Xavier was a funny guy. He was a funny guy. He always wanted to make you smile. He always had the hug for you. He always was the one to go visit everybody. Because when his death came upon, and I started seeing people from the past, they was like, oh, he was at my house for Christmas, and he was at my house for Thanksgiving. And he was just like, he visited everybody. And everybody that he was around loved him. He was a big kid, you know, but he loved sports. Basketball was his thing. Oh Lord, and for us in my family, we very competitive. I played softball, he played basketball, and I was out there with him all the time. He was outgoing, outspoken. He was a lot of stuff, Like, for example, when Sherman got ready to graduate anything, he would act up so he didn't move forward. I don't know what it was about moving forward that scared him the most, but I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. So I got to the point where, okay, I'm just going to love you from where you are. And I'm going to follow you with whatever you choose to do. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to support you. And the school system, and she's right, the IEP, oh yeah, they lost a couple of those years. And I was like, no, we got to get back on track, because the IEP is structured to give them privilege to deal with their mental illness. Sherman had a problem with staying seated for 2 and 3 hours. So they would break it in half. Every hour he can get up, you know, doing testing, and just, you know, go off and walk a little bit, come back and finish testing. Those were, because that's how he had to learn. A lot of people don't understand that IEP is very important. And it ain't just the school. The parent got to get out there and make sure this stuff is taken care of. I mean, I ran myself to death, but it was worth it. It was my child. You can't expect a teacher to take your child all day long and teach him, and he's a problem, and child, he's a problem in school. Then you need to go to the school and see what's wrong with your child. A lot of times they wait for the teacher to address it, and then they go address the teacher. Well, you said this to my child. Some of them kids are pretty bad. Some of them are pretty bad. Now, I've seen in the school system, they fussing and cussing. But because of the person I wasn't just addressing my child. I was able to address a lot of child in school. They was like, well, Miss Walker, they listen to you because I'm a parent and I care. A lot of them just looking for attention. You know, and what's wrong with taking a day off from work and setting up at the school with your child just to see how things go? They looking for that attention, and when you don't give it to them at home, they look for it in all the wrong places and the wrong people. And that's how a lot of them get caught up out there.
Have you been able to have any communication with the young lady that had him to go get the cards and maybe follow up with her to see if she has any more information?
Well, I haven't been able to even meet her. I went to meet her that night of, and she was no longer at the house, and she was back and forth, and I called her, and she talked to me, and she said, well, this happened, and I was like, but why did you call? You didn't even know him that well. Why? And being out in the system and watching a lot of things that I've seen over the last year, I've ran across a lot of young girls that's willing to set a lot of young men up. A lot of them. And they okay with that. So I don't know whether I feel Sherman was set up. Can't nobody take that mother instinct from me. He was set up. I just want to know why. Why? You know, I think that's an answer all mothers want. Why mine? You know, I noticed kids just walking down the street, got shot up, sitting on the porch. A lot of stuff that came out of Petersburg. I've counted the bodies, not just young men. I've counted the bodies from where my son got murdered from. There's like a cemetery going down West Street. There are 7 bodies before you get to my son that been killed on West Street alone. And nobody see nothing wrong with this picture. Just you know something, say something. You know, we just want closure. We just want to know who did this to my baby. You know, I want to know who did this to my baby. You know, maybe I may never, but I'm not going to stop after that for you. Because it's just too much, too many. It's too many people in Petersburg died. And Petersburg don't solve them unless somebody wants to testify against that person. And this is where we are, stuck here today. And tomorrow's 1 year celebration of life for my baby. And I miss him I miss him a lot. You know, he was mine. He wasn't nobody else's. And nobody had that right to take him from me. You know, and yeah, I'm angry every day. But I'm going to turn that anger into joy to help somebody. Whether it's another kid out there that need a job, whether they need housing. Recently, before Sherman died, got murdered, he was in a position, and there was another young boy reached out to me. He was a Caucasian boy, and he was sleeping in his car. I don't know why, like you, he called me, and he was like, Miss Walker, I feel like I want to kill myself. And I said, it's not worth it. You know, if you need help and somewhere to stay, I'll meet you. Whatever it is, just don't do it. I know how it feels now not to have that whole feel in my heart. You know, and I just want closure. I do.
So what can we do as a community for moms like you? Because since I've been here since January, it seemed like there's been killings every week. And not to say that that's the true statistics, but that's what it seems like, that's what it feels like. And so on a supportive side, what can we do for moms like you to be able to provide some support? Because I'm not an investigator, I'm not a detective, NAACP, there's a possibility you could reach out to them and talk to them with that kind of information. But from just a citizen, I'm just as a citizen and someone who cares about what's going on with a young black man, because I do have a 22-year-old son, and every day that he's absent from me,
I'm scared to death.
Yeah, and so, and it's one of those things where I've been a civil rights activist my whole life, and I've been with NAACP half of my life, and I fought for different people, different causes, but within the last few years, with the increase of killing young black men, I'm really fearful, and sometimes I'm at the point where I don't know what to do. And my son called me about 2 months ago. He was getting a speeding ticket, and he pulled over, and he was like, "Mom, I need to talk to you because I need you to be on FaceTime while this police officer is pulling me over." Now, just imagine, once upon a time, we didn't have the cell phones where you could put it on FaceTime.
Right.
And we didn't even have the need, at our kids or young black men,
right.
They didn't have a need, so they're scared. And he called me and he had me on FaceTime while, the police officer was talking to him. And, it's unfortunate that we have to explain to our kids as early as, I would say 16, because that's when they're driving their license. You got to put your hand on the wheel. You got to make sure, get permission to go into the glove box. If he asks you to get out, get out the car. Just follow what he says. And so those are things that we've been taught, within our community. But then recently, I was told that it's your right. You don't have to get out unless they have a warrant. You do not have to get out that car unless they have a warrant or they have a valid reason. Now, if you're speeding, of course, naturally, you breaking the law, you speeding. But sometimes, people get pulled over just because they feel like it. When you have that kind of bad cop situation.
True.
But you are not required, according to what I have recently learned by the law, if you haven't broken the law, if you don't have a tail light busted, if there appears to not be a valid reason to pull you over, you don't have to, pull over. But we know how it is with the law. The police officer can say you're fleeing or whatever, but they have to have a justified reason for you to have to pull over and get the registration and all that other kind of stuff. And so I also want to say, within our discussion about this, that if you are beyond not just a young black or a black male, you need to go somewhere and pull over where it's highly lit
and safe.
And safe. And safety should always be your first concern.
Let me piggyback on what you're just saying. One thing is that if you feel uncomfortable, if a police get behind you and you uncomfortable, you can call 911 and let them know that a police is behind you, that you're going to get to a safe lit area. That way, you're not surrounded by polices or being shot up in your car and stuff like that. For me, I think a 911 call should be called, look, I got the police behind me, I'm going to pull over, but I'm going to get to a safer area because I don't feel safe right now. For those that can't call home or text or,
Right.
That works for me because I had an incident, not Petersburg, where my son called me frightened to death. My grown boy, my oldest boy. He was like, Mom, let me tell you what happened. I was leaving the basketball game. I got on the back road and the police followed me and got me in a dark area and had me get out my car and pulled the gun on me. And the reason I think I'm not dead today is because too many cars was coming through the area. And my son should not have been put in that situation. The guy was being intimidated, disrespectful, and was waiting for an opportunity, I believe. I think safety is first. I think that if you're in that position, please call 911. And that way you're letting the police know who can dispatch the police officer. We got the call, they're gonna pull over to a safe area. And because I has got stopped on Hampton Street, I ran the red light by mistake. I didn't stop. I didn't run the red light. I just didn't come to a complete stop. I was pulled over. My 12-year-old beside me, we're gonna die today. That alerted me how serious our black men are afraid of the police. I bust out crying when he came to my car. He assured me, I said, sir, it ain't even about the ticket now. It's about my son feeling danger, and he's 12, not even driving, and he shouldn't feel this way. I think more officer needs to go in the community and meet some of the people, or most of the people. Because if you're running my community, you're in my environment, and I feel threatened by you, but if you come and talk to us and affiliate yourself with us and get to know who we are, that we aren't dangerous black men, but we are just people trying to get from one place to another, then you'll have a better understanding of your people. A lot of people that's police officer, from my understanding, are people, and I'm just going what I heard, are rejects from other cities for different personal bad behaviors. So we ends up with the trash. So now you got trash out here running the community and threatening. If you shouldn't feel, but no kid should feel threatened of the police. Police are people you should be able to go to for help, not feel threatened of. So this is what's happening in the black community with the black men. Oh, I ain't gonna deal with them, they're gonna kill me, I'm gonna get them first. It shouldn't be cowboys and Indians out here on the street. It really should not be. And I think it needs to be more people having them in the bad areas, getting to know the people, so that we all can live together. A lot of them don't live here, so they really can care less what goes on in the community, which goes back to we need to come out from behind these closed doors and start watching our streets and our babies. Because when we were growing up, we had mothers on every porch to report to your mother what you did all the way down the street, and we need that back. We need that big mama back. We need our community. We need these parents to stop being friends with these children and be parents to these children. Stop letting them run them so they can get in the street and have some civilization and, an organization and help, you know what I'm saying? Because I see a lot of bad behavior towards other parents, even the younger ones. Stop them while they're young, because it only get worse. Chastise them. It might break your heart, but in the long run, it pays off. I remember the boy that got murdered. It was on a series I was watching on TV, and the boy got life sentence, and he said it's his mama's fault. And he said, how so? And he said, because remember I was in the store when I was 2 and I stole that bubble gum and you told me don't worry about it? Remember when I grew up and I hit that girl and you stopped me from getting in trouble, told me it won't your son? Stop condoning the bad habit and address the issue. Because the older they get, the worse it gets. Me, I'm a parent that steps in, step out, and step up. A whole lot of parents can't do that. And if you're doing that, great job. Keep doing it. But I feel that the police need to be more in the community and not of the community, to see who some of these black men are. They are our great writers, our great artists, our great politicians, but you don't get that chance to know what Xavier turned out to be. He was smart. He knew the computer. He knew how to work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he had his challenging time, but that didn't make him a bad person for nobody to kill him. For me, I just want closure. And if I never get it, I'll go to my grave trying. But parents need to step up and stop letting these kids walk around with these guns and don't know what to do with it. If they ain't legal, take it from them. It's just too much killing going on out here. It's not right. Children think it's normal. The new norm, when my son got killed, I counted it up. In the United States, there was 145 black men got murdered that exact same day. Something is wrong. We're losing our generation. They saying now, the young people now saying, I remember Sherman coming to me one day and said, Mom, you know what? I'm kind of scared. All my friends are dead or in jail. And I said, well, what are you going to do to change that? And he started to get himself together. But I guess it was a little too late. But it ain't too late for those out there. Talk to people. Talk to somebody. You can call me, you. Call somebody. Just know you're not alone out here. But when you come into meet encounter with them police, call 911 and let them know what's going on. So that they can have a dispatch. Let them know, okay, they're not running from you. They're going to pull to a secluded area. I got them on the phone. Let's get them to a safe environment. And so that it can be lack of communication. Because right now, it's lack of communication. My son, 12-year-old, shouldn't be scared of a police just pulling me over for a traffic stop. So how many other, when you're scared, you'll do anything you're scared. So now you're jeopardizing not just my child, you're jeopardizing the officer who wants to go home that evening. So it needs to be more community meetings and community service and coming together. And one thing I hope that I bring closure for all this for my son.
Thank you so much again, Ms. Walker, for having this interview with us. Can you please tell the audience again your number? Because there may be some moms out there who are going through your same experience, or just maybe someone that wants some advice on how to work with a child that may have mental health issues.
Okay, my name is Pamela Walker. My number is 804-243-0980. And anybody that have any information concerning my son, his name is Detective Walker of Petersburg Petersburg Detective Department, Police Department. Or you can get the information if you're friends with Marlo Jones, which is his godfather. You can call him. Just get the information to somebody. You know, I'm available. There's resources out there you can talk to for him. I'm working on some other stuff for a parent that's going through it, that's lost their child and going through it for Christmas. You're welcome to call me, because you're not alone. I can put you into a group of us that knows what you feel, knows what you're going through. So with the mental health piece, you can contact me. I have resources at District 19. I also will be having your number by the end of this interview. So I will have information to pass on to mothers with mental health children or mental health illnesses. I can only give you the story, my story, how I live, how I went through it, how I'm pushing up and pushing on. So if you need me, I'm here for the holidays. And again, my number is 804-243-0980.
Thank you. And I'm Chioma Adaku. This is Petersburg Solutions. We hope that you enjoyed the interview, and we look forward to working with you in the community.